Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Stand just in front of my eyes here is Craig Hope. How are you doing?
Very good. Well, it's officially the first day of winter in Saudi Arabia, and we can feel it, you know. Earlier in the week, it felt like a tremendous welcome for us guys from Tyneside, you know, not too hot. But today, it's actually, you know, I never thought I'd say this, but Riyadh is cold today. So, yeah, there you go.
And not only that, I mean, you just started off your YouTube channel as well. You want to tell people about it?
I have, yeah. So, you know, I saw things that guys like yourself were doing, really enjoyed the videos. So, the Eastern European blogger as well, Bald and Bankrupt, you know, I sit up late at night and you can go down a rabbit hole watching these videos, and just thought YouTube was something which I found myself consuming more and more. So, thought, you know what, why not get your own little flag in the sand? Started my YouTube channel, which is Craig Hope _Daily Mail, and on there you'll find post-match videos. You know, after every match at St James's, I'll have a wander around, share my thoughts with you, and a lot of content around Newcastle United. If you go on there now, there's 5 or 6 videos already from the time in Saudi Arabia, including watching the guys training. My thoughts on spending time at the team hotel with Eddie, reflections on the game last night, and just a little wander around Riyadh. So, you know, yeah, part football, part travel, part adventure, taking a lot of inspiration from the man on the other side of the camera there too. So it's all good fun. I hope you enjoy it. Craig Hope _Daily Mail, but I'm not here to promote that. Well, it's sort of kind of just have been for the last minute or so, but you had to answer questions about Newcastle United and the transfer window, so let's go.
Well, I appreciate your comments there, Craig. Thank you. I will stick down his YouTube channel link in the description. Make sure go check it out for yourselves. There's a lot of content over in Saudi Arabia. I'm sure he's going to put up plenty more content, especially when that window opens. But speaking of that January transfer window, that's why we're here today. It's weird feeling this way, but it's going to open in a few weeks' time. Once the World Cup's over, Newcastle return on Boxing Day, and within a week from that, the window opens. And third in the Premier League table at the minute, it's a huge opportunity for Newcastle to make use of this window and to ensure we have a high position in the league this season. But the first thing I probably want to ask you about first is Newcastle's transfer budget now. Of course, we spent a lot of money in the summer, £60 million alone on Isak, well over £100 million, I think it was in the end. I'm not expecting this same amount in January, but just what do you believe about how much Newcastle could be possibly spending that window?
Well, first of all, I'd say, so the last 2 windows we've gone into it, and of course as journalists it's our job to speak to as many people as possible around the football club, and you know, we've preached caution. We've said the message from above is that they're not going to be sort of extravagant spenders, and yet Newcastle have emerged from it as pretty much the biggest spenders in Europe both times. So yeah, take what us guys say with a pinch of salt. It's the same message again. You know, I tend to believe them more this time. I didn't believe them previously, but I tend to believe that will be the case more this time, because previously they really needed to invest. You know, we would have been silly to believe it last January that they weren't going to spend big. You know, I think they needed it, and the money they spent was so good in the end. You know, those 5 signings, they knocked everyone out the park. It was tremendous business. Same again in the summer. Okay, Isak will reserve judgment on, but the deal for Sven Botman, £32 million. We're sat with Eddie Howe in the team hotel, just over our shoulder there. The big building you see, Freedom Tower. Beneath that is where Kingdom Tower. Sorry, that is where the players are staying. We were sat with him, and Eddie was saying, you know, Sven Botman, that sort of investment, it's expensive, it's a big outlay. I turned around and said, Eddie, listen, Sven Botman was cheap, you know. On reflection, £32 million. Wow, if you can unearth that sort of deal again in January. But yeah, this time, and the reason I say this, Adam, is because I don't think they desperately need massive. You said it yourself in the intro there, the third in the table. It's not as if the bottom of the table where they were 12 months ago. So there's not that need for massive improvement. But, and this is the big but, Eddie Howe sat there and said to us, you know, I'm a manager. You should strengthen from a position of strength. I'm not going to sit here as manager of this team and say, no, I'm okay with what I've got. Don't worry, we'll carry on as we go. He wants new players. He wants to improve that starting 11. So that end, you'll have Eddie pushing. Perhaps there'll be a little bit of resistance in terms of the guardrails of FFP, the parameters that can work within. So a long-winded way around this of answering your question, we don't yet really know. The message is don't expect a great deal, but bearing in mind that's been the message in the previous 2 windows. By the same token, don't be surprised if a deal presents itself. Can they act? Yes. Will they act? Yes. But it would have to be the right player in the right position at the right price. For example, you know, if, for argument's sake, that Bruno Guimaraes type becomes available and they think, wow, we can get a player who we really rate for 34, 35 million pounds, I think they will go and do it. So don't shut the door on it just yet, but there are a lot of moving factors in this.
And predictions as well. I know it's quite hard to call what kind of players Newcastle could be looking for at the minute, but do you believe there's any targets in mind of what predictions Newcastle could be going for? I think we've got a good start 11, but I think especially squad depth we are still lacking in some areas. So you've got any sort of idea or prediction even, or what predictions you might expect Newcastle?
No, have you? Now, I came out of the summer believing that Newcastle United in January would revisit a right winger. Bearing in mind Newcastle started the season with Miguel Almiron in that position, who, I'll be honest, hands up, I thought that was a position that could strengthen in, I wouldn't go as far to say position of weakness, but certainly an area for improvement. I've changed my mind. I think Eddie Howe has changed his mind. Every supporter has changed their mind. Wow, even the friendly last night, Adam, we were there. I thought a lot of the players looked stodgy. Miguel Almiron didn't. When he come on in that second half, he was a different level. He was tremendous. So right wing is no longer a priority. Right back, I think, is. I would expect to see a younger right back come in as backup for Kieran Trippier. Bearing in mind you've got the injury to Emil Kraft, and Javier Manquillo might be one who I think will probably leave the football club within the next 6 months or so. And then in terms of really improving a starting 11 position, I think a deep lying midfielder, a holding midfielder, that position which has been occupied by Bruno during the first half of the season. Now, Bruno is fantastic, he's tremendous, but I think if you've got someone in that position, it perhaps allows Bruno to go on and play further up the park. And I think they want someone to screen the back four, someone with more aggression, more defensive minded. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that as the position which they perhaps prioritise. Or failing that, if you've got keeping Bruno in that position, someone like not necessarily James Maddison, but that type of James Maddison player, the creative midfielder who can play in the middle.
I appreciate that. And now I think James Maddison, that's actually a good topic to come on to. So he's a player that's been sparking quite a lot for Newcastle. Of course, England themselves have been asking questions about Newcastle last week. We know that Newcastle attempted to buy him in the summer transfer window. Do you think that's a possible player Newcastle can go back in for January despite the problems they may have?
Honest answer, no. I think it'll be too hard. While he's still got admirers within the club, including the manager, I think it's too hard a deal to do in January. It's not necessarily Newcastle's model now to buy proven Premier League players at a premium price. That's just not the route they're going down. They thought there might have been a deal to be done at value for James Maddison in the summer. I think now that's not going to be the case. If they want Maddison in January, you're talking 60, 70, 80 million even perhaps, and that is just not where Newcastle United are at right now. So no, I wouldn't expect Maddison to be a deal they do in January, despite that being the type of player that perhaps do want.
And now, as for current players, this is sort of a thing that's you expect to happen over the next few months anyway. You see it in the summer as a massive clear out of some of the players. You expect that to continue happening in the January window with some more players leaving the door?
Maybe one or two perhaps max, but I wouldn't go as far as clear out. Now, I look at the squad list and I can probably identify 5, 6, 7 who in time for the club to go to where they want to go will be moved on, and by in time I mean a fairly short space of time. I just don't anticipate that to be January. I don't think there'll be that level of upheaval, and Eddie's also got to be very mindful of upsetting or disturbing what is a fantastic team morale and dynamic and chemistry within that group. So no, I wouldn't expect a huge turnover in terms of players going out, no.
Alright, and finally now, we've already spoken about the price Newcastle could spend in the window as well as the sort of predictions Newcastle could look at, but as for quantity of players, you got any idea how many players Newcastle could be looking to bring in, maybe 2, 3?
I would say stood here now in Riyadh, going into the winter window back in the UK, I would say a younger right back and perhaps a more senior player in the midfield area. I would say 2 would be my prediction stood here now.
Any loan signs as well? Or?
Well, the loans, it's always a possibility. I don't think you would bring in a younger right back on loan. I think that would be a signing with a view to bringing them on. I think they'd want a signing in that position. I think even in midfield as well now, the point Eddie always makes to us is there's so many variable factors. January the 31st is 6-7 weeks away from now. So what happens if Bruno Guimaraes picks up a bad injury? To that is when loans will come into it. Well, they'll assess where they are at the very end of the window, and that is when a loan could become viable, taking into consideration who and who isn't available.
Well, I appreciate it, Craig. Thank you so much. For now, though, I'm going to finish things off there. We can only talk about so much for now. Obviously, still a few more weeks. There's still all sorts of speculation and whatnot you can get into. But once that window opens, I'm sure I'll see you again where things are a bit more concrete. We're having a better idea where Newcastle could be at. But yeah, you're heading back home tonight. Thank you so much, Craig. I appreciate it. I'm sure you enjoy your time in Saudi as well as I have. So thank you so much for all your work in Newcastle, and I'll see you on the road.
No, don't be daft. I'll do my best. Adam P here. Beneath the line, in the comment section, hit subscribe. That's what you're saying these days, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay?
That was close enough, Craig. Well done.
go.
You're getting there. But thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.